So are you still wet sanding your clear coats? I'm not, and I'm going to tell you why. Hey, this is Paul from Les Bonds Guitars and welcome back to my shop. So just recently I decided I was not going to wet sand any of my guitar bodies anymore. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, it's pretty messy. Well, that's not a real big reason, but the big reason is I don't like the fact that water can get in holes, like in these little sections here. You can see I don't have the control knobs drilled out. I drill them out later. Just the way I do it. People have asked me why. And one of the reasons was because I didn't want water to get under the finish and ruin the guitar. It weeps down in these holes and it can cause damage. So, I finally found a product that I can dry sand with that gives me the same effects as wet sanding. Now don't get me wrong, I've done wet sanding for years and it's great. It really does level and get it to a nice fine scratch pattern, I guess you could say. But it is messy, and you do risk the chance of getting water under the paint and damage it. So what I've looked for was a product that I can use dry, and I'm using 1000 grit normally when I start out. I spray the finishes pretty smooth. I can go with 1000 grit, and this is a piece of 1000 grit wet or dry. And I would use this with some water, maybe a little bit of soap just to lubricate it slightly, and this would cut pretty good. Now since then I found this other stuff. I found this, and I don't endorse this product at all, so and I'm not getting any kickback or anything like that. It's just something I found. I think it works great. A lot of the automotive guys are using it, and this is called Super Aalex, and I got the lime, which is 1000 grit. Now, according to the data sheet, let me show you what it looks like real quick first, too. So it comes in these sheets, and there's a little pad that goes with them. There's a full sheet pad and there's a half sheet pad. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's a line between them here, and they just separate. So you break them in half and use it in a half sheet. I don't have the half sheet pads, and because I have my own little pads, I got little pads right here, and they have like a sponge coating on it, and that's what I use for wet sanding. And I just cut one of these halves and another half, basically, so I can use it with this little pad right here. I just wrap it around here, and I use it like this. So, like I said, I'm not getting endorsed by this product, or I'm not endorsing this product or whatever. It's Super Aalex, and they've got a lot of grits. They go from a 240, they have 240, 360, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, and 1500. So in the case of this lime, it's the K1000, and it says it has a speed of cutting of a P80, but you get a 1000 grit scratch pattern like you would with the old-fashioned way of using wet sanding. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I can use 1000 grit and it cuts like an 800. I always started out with 1000, so it's like starting out with 800, but I'm getting 1000 out of this. What I like about this, and I've tried it on the back side of this guitar before I started making this video, it really cuts well, and you don't have to keep wetting it and wiping away the sludge and looking to see what you got going on. You see it instantly whenever you're using this piece of paper right here. So, and it powders up nicely, it really does. So all these grits will tell you, like the 1500, it's got the speed of a 1200, but it cuts like a 1500. And they also have machine, like if you're using a orbital sander and or DA, you can get even finer cut, like this 1000 that I'm using. Like I said, it's got a speed of an 800, a manual, which is just doing it like this, of 1,000, and it's 1,000 grit, or 1,200 with machine use. So this comes in a big pack, and it's pretty expensive. I won't, I'm not gonna fool you here. It's pretty pricey, but for what I think it's gonna do for me, I think it'll be worth it. And that's a lot of sandpaper. I don't know how many sheets are in here. I don't remember. I think there's 50. There's 50 sheets in this box. Sorry, 25 sheets. 25 full sheets. So, this is the guitar that I've been painting. I've been doing a painting series on. This is a 613 CS, and it's got a beautiful top on it, nice beautiful back, sides, nice binding, and it's sprayed with a really good gun, so it's really smooth. There's just a little bit of orange peel. That would be acceptable in an automotive field. So I'm going to start out with 1,000 with the sandpaper, and I'm going to show you how well this stuff does. I'm never going back to wet sanding, I can tell you right now, just with the little test I did with this earlier, and I'll show you what it does here. Alright, this thing powders up nicely. I've got a carpet right here, a little piece of carpet right here, I just wipe it off with. Wipe this part off with my rag, and it's almost there already, just with a little bit I did. Let me show you an example of the difference. Like if you try to use this wet 1,000 grit dry, show you how fast it clogs up. You'd never be able to do it. I mean, you could do it, but you'd be very frustrated with this process. All right, looks okay now. Oh, I can see big scratches going on. Look at this. Look at all the schmutz on there. It's clogged up already, so it's pretty useless. This one here, I'll do another little section, and I'll show you the difference. I know it's not a great view right here. I'll take the camera over the top in a few minutes. And you can see there's some little bit of buildup, but just like that, it's gone. And it powders up nicely. All right, let me go ahead and finish up what I'm saying here, and then I'll bring the camera above and have you take a look at it from above here. So once this is done with this 1,000 grit sandpaper, I'm gonna go ahead and go to buffing, and I've changed my compounds I've been using. I've gone up actually to finer grits. I was using and I always use this Manzurna. Another pretty pricey item here, but it's a big chunk of material right here, so it does last a long time. Now I'm starting out my first. I'll use it with this GW16. Stuff's not to fly out of here. So the GW16 is a fine finish. It's for paints, plastics, composites. So I was using the P204 previously. And the P204 handles 800 grit scratches on up. And then I would use, what was I using last time? It was another one. I don't know if it's marked on this box here. I think it was the P126. No, it wasn't the 126. I really can't even remember, but it wasn't this superfine one. This is a superfine. I haven't gone up this high in the polishing compounds, but I wanted to give this a try. This is the P175 super finish, and this stuff is supposed to shine it up like you wouldn't believe, like glass. So, all right. So let me take you over the top here, and you can see what this looks like. All right, let's go ahead and take this for a round. We'll hit everything one time. And I'm not putting much pressure, light pressure on it. You see how well it cleans up? Should be able to see that a little better now. I might go ahead and order that half pad for these things. I do like using this little pad right here, but if I had that quarter pad and I had something a little longer, I could span these areas a little better, I think. I mean, it still works pretty good. I'm gonna see how long this pad lasts. Okay, that's one time around on the whole body. And I don't know if you can see the little bit of orange peel by me moving this like this here or not. But there's a few shiny spots left. I really haven't even hit it hard yet. That's just one pass around. I like to work in little sections, kind of like quadrants. Now I try to put my finishes on as thin as possible. And it's the reason why I'm going to better cutting sandpapers, so I'm not having to take as much finish off. I mean, I'm kind of saying that wrong. I'm trying to get as smooth a finish as I can, and I want the finishes thin, so I'm putting it on thinner, but I'm ensuring that I'm getting a smoother finish right out of the gun, so that one, there's very little material on the guitar, and two, that I get it so flat out of the gun that I don't need much sandpaper or much of this work of sanding to achieve what I'm trying to achieve prior to buffing, using buffing compounds. Less work, faster results. Nothing wrong with that, right? All right, so we're going on my second time around the body. Same sheet of paper. And a lot of times when you're using a wet paper, like I said, you can't really see the results right off the bat because you gotta wipe away the sludge and the water. So I can just use my rag to get that thing clean. I don't even need that carpet really. I'll use it anyways. Anyways, yeah, it takes a while. You gotta get the sludge out of the way to see your progress. As you're sanding with these sheets, you can still see the shiny spots. I see some right here. And I don't know, that's an improvement right there. So this already is cutting a lot of the orange peel out, and it wasn't a whole lot of orange peel. Like I said, this had a coating on it, final coat. It was good enough to, if it was on a car, you could send it right out of the booth, right to the customer. This stuff does have like a hook and loop kind of a texture to the back of it. So I think the pads that they sell, this soft pads, but it sticks to it kind of. And I think the full block, they might even have a half block. It's got a rigid kind of holder. It's you know, it's the size of one and a half of these. So I mean, it's a pretty good size. That would get a lot of area. So I might have to invest in those blocks. I wanted to see how this was going to work out, being as it costs so much. You know, I wanted to make sure it was going to be right. I don't like throwing money away, but I don't think I'm throwing any money away with this stuff. I mean, look at that stuff powder up, man. It just powders up nicely. It's cutting. I mean, it's cutting nicely. All right, so I'm gonna speed the camera up a little bit and you can watch the rest of this process on fast speed. All right. So I changed the paper out the last time around. I went 3 times with this old sheet and it was still working, but when I went to this, it cut even better. I got the rest of the stuff out that I saw. There's a few little shiny spots still. I could actually, from this point, without even having to chase them down, they would go away with the buffing. And I've learned over the years, don't chase it. Don't keep chasing it. Sometimes you just got to know when to quit. But I don't know if I can get the right angle on it. You can see how smooth that is. I don't know if that's showing up or not. But I'm going to give this product a really good review here. This is some good stuff. Super Aalex. I think this stuff's made in Japan. It says Kovacs. I guess that's the company. Uses scuffing before clear coating, scuffing graduation part, old paint, whatever. I mean, look, I'm going at 1,000 grit, and then I'm gonna go to a polishing compound that is gonna take any of these scratches out completely. I mean, just easily, and then go to a higher fine grit compound. Yeah, it's gonna work out better. This is, look, no mess. I mean, there's hardly, whatever dust was there, I mean, it's mostly in this rag. See a little bit in here. It powders up nicely, and it's just clean. There's no water getting in my hole. You can see a little holes I got right here. These are where the controls are gonna go, the volume and the tone. I cut those later with very sharp brad point drill bits, I should say, and I don't have any problems with it. Some people ask, why do you do that? You risk the chance of chipping it up. You just got to go easy with it. Just be careful. It always works out for me. I always like that because I never got, you know, that big hole that would be there, 3/8 hole, 1/4 inch hole, depending on what kind of tuner you're using. I mean, what kind of a pot you're using. You know, water can get under there and it could lift this finish up. Even in here, especially, look, there's a lot of surface water can get in there. And once it swells that wood up, it'll lift the finish up. So I'm never gonna have to worry about that again with this. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna finish up. I'm gonna do the sides and the back, and then we're gonna get into the buffing stages. I'll be back. All right, well, I've got it all sanded out, and it took me about, I'd say about an hour and a half, which is not bad. I've spent a good 3 hours wet sanding in the past. So, I mean, it's really flat. It's actually got a shine to it. If you look at it on an angle like this, it's got a shine to it. It's pretty cool. So I'm liking this paper. I'm definitely never going back to wet sanding. This is so much neater. It's cleaner. I used 2 halves, a whole sheet, one of these whole sheets. So like I said, I took these and like this will be one sheet here. That's one sheet. So 2 halves, and I cut them in half. That's all the paper I use for this whole body. And I probably, I don't know, I guess I might go over it one more time, just real light with a fresh piece. I don't know, we'll see how this goes. I'm not gonna do the buffing yet. I'm gonna wait, because after I sand them like this, I like to let them sit a little bit, let them breathe a little bit. Chances are there aren't any more vapors that need to come out, any more solvents that need to come out of the paint. But I do like to let them sit a little bit and just watch it, see what the finish does, and then I'll buff it. So I'll come back another day and do that. All in all, it was about, I priced it out for that box. I paid $2.50. Cost me $2.50 worth of paper to do this whole body. I've got to do the headstock too. I haven't included that in this video, but I'll do the headstock. I'll probably just use, you know, one sheet of it for that. So yeah, compared to the other wet paper, I've had to go through 2 sheets of that, and they're larger sheets. So that's about $2 right there for that. So it's not really that much more expensive in my opinion after doing this. So anyway, let me let this sit for a few days and I'll come back to it and buff it. Alright guys, here it is. Now I spared you the video of me buffing for an hour. I thought you'd appreciate that. Who wants to watch a guy buffing a guitar for an hour, right? But anyway, here it is. So I started out with some 1000 grit Aalex dry sandpaper. And like I said earlier, it cuts like an 800, but it leaves a 1000 grit finish to it. And then I took this to the wheel, took it to this first wheel here, which uses the GW16 compound from Zerner. And then on this wheel, I went to the P175 compound from Zerner. And that's a fine finish, and it's a super fine finish. And when I got to this wheel, I'll tell you what, this get rid of all the scratches. This P175, basically just kind of glided it around it and just barely kissed it, and it just made it like glass. I mean, this stuff is awesome. So all in all, no more wet sanding, dry sanding from here on out. I might even go up to the 1200 grit on that Aalex sandpaper and see how that does. It might save less time on the wheel too. But anyways, from now on, no more wet sanding. I'm only gonna do dry sanding, go right to buffing with these compounds. I can't ask for a better finish than this. This is perfect. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. And if you would do me a favor, go ahead and share my videos to get the word out there. And I'll see you next time.